Hey, hello everyone. I'm Maarten Bovée. I'm Managing Director for Infinigate Belgium, and this is a new episode of CyberVerse. So welcome. We have an amazing guest in our studio again, Patrick Kommers, Business Development Manager for SecOps and SASE. Welcome, Patrick.
Thank you, Maarten. Thanks a lot for the invitation.
So, Patrick, it's wonderful to have you here. I think the Fortinet community, everybody knows you, but maybe for the broader audience, can you please introduce yourself and what you are doing?
Yes. So for the last 3 years now, I'm Business Development Manager at Fortinet, focusing on SecOps and SASE. Mostly supporting our sales, our partners, to develop the storyline and the vision of strategy of Fortinet regarding those two very important subjects like SecOps and SASE.
Yeah. I also love the topic about SecOps, but I think today the focus is really SASE. So, Patrick, maybe the basics. What is SASE? What it's all about?
Yeah. So, first of all, SASE is not a product. It's a cybersecurity concept. It has been developed by Gartner, who else, already in 2019, where Gartner positioned SASE as a sort of convergence of networking and security with a focus on SD-WAN for the networking part and cloud-delivered security stack, the SSE part. Yeah, when you talk about SASE, it's fully loaded with a lot of acronyms, but SASE stands for Secure Access Service Edge, and the SSE part, the cloud-delivered security, is the Secure Service Edge. And it's that combination that Gartner was putting forward because a lot of organizations were clearly struggling on how to secure their users, certainly after COVID, with the hybrid way of working. Users were everywhere. And on the other hand, they were consuming their data, their applications, more and more also everywhere.
But was that really a new concept? Because it's already a few years that users of people in a company, they work from everywhere, from home, from different locations. Isn't that solved also with just setting up a VPN tunnel?
Yeah, but the big issue is that you will need a set of solutions that are not really integrated with each other. And a big issue there is that the management of those different solutions, before SASE as a concept was developed, the management of those different solutions were spread over those different solutions. So there was no unified management. And from the security part, having those different solutions, it was clear, it was a struggle that having a consistent security posture for your users, for the data they were consuming, that was lacking. And I think that certainly after COVID, where hackers more and more started to focus on the employee that is still working half of the time, not at the office, but somewhere else. How are you going to deal with providing enterprise-grade security for those users that are not at the office? And I think there, with the conception of SASE, there it was a big difference in comparison with that.
So would you say that it's more about simplicity? It's more about, I think in a lot of cases, partners and customers are using a lot of vendors. That creates often complexity. Complexity is a risk in cybersecurity. Does SASE solve all of these things?
Yes, absolutely. So it reduces complexity. It enhances the visibility. I will give some examples later on. And because you're going to manage everything centrally through your clouds, you're going to secure everything in the clouds. So you will have everything at your disposal, regardless, again, where your users are and what data and applications they are consuming. And this is really a game changer, because that complexity of security that's going on for more than a decade, and everybody's complaining about it. So there is no miracle solution to solve that. So it will be about consolidation. It will be about platformization. And this is, I think, what the SASE concept stands for.
Okay. So would you say, because you were talking about applications, and if you're talking about applications, I'm always thinking about shadow IT. Does it help with shadow IT in the positive way and not in the negative way? Yeah.
It can solve a lot of challenges for organizations. I think when you look different use cases, your employee, when he's at the office, clearly he's secured by the corporate security stack. Yeah? But what are you going to do once the employee is outside the office? What is he consuming? Oh, internet. He's surfing the internet. He is consuming SASE applications.
That's because of all the acronyms. They make it really difficult for us.
A mistake is easily made. So SaaS applications. And I think there, to give you some answer on the shadow IT part, SaaS applications, there is a big variety of SaaS applications where a user can easily create, for example, its own private Dropbox account. And how can the IT department manage those possible threats? Because me creating a private Dropbox account and uploading some corporate data to my private Dropbox account, it's hard for corporate IT to even detect that your user is doing things like that. And of course, it can have a possible data breach as a consequence. So there, with the SASE concept, it's clear that surfing the internet, you will do it like you were at corporate premises with the same level of security. SaaS applications. What are you doing on which SaaS applications? Well, that's the SASE platform that gives that kind of visibility. One of the features in the cloud-delivered security stack is cloud access security broker functionalities. So it's having that visibility, who is accessing what SaaS application with what login. What is he uploading? What is he downloading? And it's there where you can have policies restricting a lot of things, where you could imagine that OneDrive can be accessed only when it's the corporate OneDrive and not the personal one. That's an example. And of course, the third part of SASE is how are we going to secure private applications? Because it's not only internet, it's not only SaaS. An organization is still running some in-house applications, maybe in their own data center or in their own cloud environment. And also SASE brings there a lot of solutions and visibility and simplicity in giving secure access to your own private applications.
Yeah. So what you're really saying is, I come from the cloud security world in a past lifetime, and you had that decentralization of people already for a long time. So the centralization part in the history of IT was everybody was in a castle. You build a wall around it, high wall, a moat. You do some other stuff, and then suddenly everybody left the castle and they were exposed to a lot of things. It actually now everyone is inside the castle, also if they are in another place. Is that the easy way
So
put it?
Yeah. So the cloud delivered security and the SASE vendor deployed a security stack, which is based on a firewall as a service, a secure web gateway for content and URL filtering, cloud access security broker functionalities, like I was explaining, but also ZTNA. And more and more focus is also put on DLP, data leakage prevention or data leakage protection. And on top of that, digital experience monitoring, because the big advantage of the SASE concept is that your user, through a secured connection, connects to the nearest point of presence of the SASE vendor, where you have the corporate grade security.
The POPs.
The POPs, indeed. Where you have your corporate grade security, like you were at the office. And it's a security umbrella that makes sure that wherever your user is, you will always have the same level of security.
Which is actually a no-brainer, I think, absolutely. So would you say, Patrick, that this is for all type of companies? Because in when SASE as a concept, when I first heard it, it was always the same story. Yeah, it's really for big companies, multinationals, a lot of locations, a hybrid workforce, a lot of people working from home. I think, in my point of view, it was a misconception because I think it's much more than that. But can you elaborate on your view on that?
I think, and now I'm talking from my Fortinet point of view, Fortinet differentiates itself with its SASE offering because it's that flexible and it's really a unified SASE solution. Why is it unified? Because, and there I will give you the answer on what type of customers are or should consider SASE. From the Fortinet point of view, it can be a small SMB customer or a big enterprise customer and everything in between. Because from the secure access point of view, we offer a big variety of use cases. We support a lot of use cases independently the size of the sites or a remote user. So what do? You got microsites. We can offer a secure connection to the SASE platform with our AP. We have an AP that automatically tunnels all traffic to the security cloud, the SSE part. We have an edge device like a switch, who can do the same. We have a small firewall, our FortiGate, that can make a tunnel and the security is done in the cloud. And we've got a unified agent for an endpoint for your users when they are traveling, when they are working outside the corporate premises. There you have your unified agent. And the big advantage of having all those use cases, and I even forgot our 4G, 5G solution. So you have a very flexible way of connecting sites and users on that secure platform. And the big advantage is that your user doesn't have to think anymore what he has to do because it's transparent. He simply wants to access whatever application, wherever it is, and in the background, automatically an encrypted and secured tunnel is built up to the closest point of presence. There all your security stack is activated and you're rerouted to where your application resides.
So the user doesn't see anything. It's just like they're in the office. They don't have the hassle of starting up VPNs or whatever, logins.
It's the same user experience. It's a consistent end user experience, both in how to access, how easy it is to access, but also from a security point of view, having that consistent security posture. You don't have to think anymore, where is my user located? What is it trying to access? It's one platform that does it all.
Yeah. And would you say then, so you say it's for all companies? Is it, I'm now taking the hat of a partner, but yeah, price-wise, is it more for the smaller ones, or is it an expensive solution? Where do we need to position it?
I think that price-wise, I'm not the pricing guru at Fortinet, but if you see how many solutions an organization has to put in place to have a secure remote access, they don't even have maybe solutions to battle, for example, shadow IT. So yes, it comes at a cost. But the concept of Fortinet is always been our platform approach. We have a consolidated security and networking view by combining different solutions in our stack that are integrated and automated. And when you look at the cost element, most of our customers already deployed our firewalls, because by far it's the most sold Fortinet solution. It's the firewall. So the firewall is deployed on each side in the data centers, protecting those applications in the cloud or on-site. So our SASE concept is nothing more than maximizing the investment the customer already did. Because what are the two elements to be able to use that SASE platform? It's having your 40 gates that are protecting your applications. You already did that investment in our point of view. Often they already activated SD-WAN on those firewalls. And you're simply gonna equip the users with a unified agent. And it's a modular agent. So you have different flavors, different modules you're gonna activate in that unified agent. Often it's endpoint protection. It's the SASE part, ZTNA, and now with the acquisition last year of NextDLP, we can also offer a big variety of DLP functionalities. So you got one agent, and that's it. So the two parts of the concept are the agent at one side and the firewall at the other side. With those two elements, you have all the possibilities to use SASE, ZTNA, DLP in a centralized managed way with one central data lake. All your logging is centralized. So for correlation, it's super easy.
So it's a good business case. If you compare it and you can make things easier, maybe skip some other vendors in the stack. Yeah, I'm quite sure that you're a platform. You have always a discussion about best of breed and the platform discussion. I'm quite sure that you are from the platform discussion side of the table. But even if people want to use, for example, an EDR from another vendor, that's Fortinet easily integrates with everything.
Yeah. The big advantage and the big differentiator of the Fortinet platform approach is that we are doing this for already 12 to 13 years. So we have a very mature and very broad platform. I always say to prospects and customers and partners, everybody nowadays, every vendor is talking about platform. And certainly after the publication of the Gartner report 3 or 4 years ago, then suddenly everybody claimed platform. We didn't wait for the Gartner report to be published. Like I said, we have it now for 13 years. And the big differentiator is, of course, the wide variety, the breadth of our portfolio, the number of solutions we integrate from Fortinet in that platform. But on the other hand, now we have more than 850 third-party integrations possible on our platform. And this is because we are doing it for such a long time.
Mm-hmm. And it's all supported by the FortiOS, the power also from the firewalls in the system.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you see certain risks for people that are not adopting SASE?
Well, we all know that complexity is the enemy of security. Everybody's complaining that with their best-in-breed approach, they lack visibility and security became way too complex. Because we all know that whether you're a partner, a vendor, or an end user, there is something like the IT gap. You simply don't find the necessary IT professionals needed to support your company's growth. So, what are we going to do? We need to do more with less. And that's platformization and consolidation. That's all about that. Make your life easier, increase your visibility, reduce your complexity by platformization. Yeah. And I think that's a really important thing to understand, that the possibilities, the gains you have there are way bigger than the false sense of security an organization thinks to have by keeping that best-in-breed approach within the organization, because you simply don't have the partners, the internal resources to keep on supporting all that complex security stack.
Yeah, it's an interesting discussion indeed, absolutely, because indeed the question also rises: you can't be always best in everything that you have.
Absolutely. We don't claim to be the best in all those 55 solutions. Don't get me wrong. And I think that's a big advantage, depending on the use case, depending on the organization, the needs. You can combine, you can create your platform to a certain extent. It can be a small platform where you're going to combine 2 or 3 solutions, or you can have 10, 15, 20 solutions. I've got use cases depending on the organization, their needs, and their IT department. 10, 15 solutions was a no-brainer. But we all know, for example, in very large enterprise, where the IT organization is not structured in a way that they can simply combine over networking, security, and combine 10, 15 solutions. But even for the networking guys, platformization with Fortinet can be interesting by simply combining 2 or 3 of those solutions.
I think the average, I saw a research paper somewhere, the average security vendors used at a bigger company is 8.6 different vendors. So that's 8.6. So it's an average, of course. Because 0.6, I don't think it's a...
In the papers I was reading, they were even talking about 40 to 50 different solutions for 0 from 40 or 50 different vendors. So
it depends on
depending
the
on
sources,
the reports. In those reports, you can prove anything what you want. But there is a certain complexity, and I think honestly that a lot of organizations still have too many vendors. And when you talk to CIOs, one of the top 3 challenges is, how do we deal with that complexity? So they are all looking for consolidation strategies. But of course, again, in a very large enterprise, it's not that easy to reduce the number of vendors, because depending on the use case, they have really specific needs and need for a specific solution. But again, yes, you can't be good or the best in every solution, but I'm pretty convinced that what you think gaining in security by adopting best in breed, you are losing because of lack of visibility and complexity. And I'm not that naive to think that a big bank would go for a full platform a la Fortinet. But yet again, within a small subset of their solutions, I'm pretty sure that maybe combining 2 or 3
Mhm.
solutions within a platform can have some really big benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's indeed, you build a platform that's the backbone of everything, and then you can see where you add. And I think people underestimate indeed the risks and the visibility on having a lot of vendors. You need a lot of different platforms. You need more people. So there is a really big business case, I think, also for a platform business, a
you s-
platform strategy,
Yeah,
to say it
and
like
you
that.
you see that also more and more in the partner landscape. 10 years ago, when a customer needed an IT integrator, an IT partner, he often chose one partner for everything. Your partner had experience in networking, in storage and data and security and maybe application development and so on. And it was a great fit. Now you see it became way too complex, very specialized, that more and more customers have to choose different partners with their specialty to have a great and big focus on some parts of their IT stack. And this is why I say that having that complexity, the need for specialization with your partners, it's the same thing when you look at security. You really should go for reducing that complexity by adopting a platform so you can have one partner focusing on security, for example, another partner on application development, some other partner maybe on the Microsoft stack, you name it.
Great. So I'm a partner. I have Fortinet firewalls at all my customers. What would be the next steps that I need to do to convert the end customer, my customers, to a SASE?
Yeah. We call it the
platform?
SASE journey, the road to SASE at Fortinet. But it starts very basic, like I said it. You start with positioning the firewall, the next generation firewall. You still need security closest to the user. So you're going to deploy a next generation firewall on each side. Having that firewall for the full security stack also gives you the opportunity to deploy and use SD-WAN functionalities, a networking functionality in FortiOS. It's built in. And having then SD-WAN to interconnect your sites, to connect to your cloud environment. Then, if you want, you can extend our security stack to the internal network by extending it with our switches and APs. So you get a security-aware internal network. Having that in place, then you simply add that unified agent, again, in a modular concept, and you have SASE, you have ZTNA. So you have to imagine you have one central management console in the cloud for SD-WAN, all security on site, switching, wireless, SASE, ZTNA. So this is the logic journey Fortinet customers and partners can go to upsell, cross-sell, and increase the maturity levels of the customers.
You make it really sound really easy.
But it is. I'm not a technical guy. Eh? I'm an evangelist in my spare time, and it's all about selling the dream. We all know IT and security is not that easy.
True.
The reason the more to look at that concept where you have one centralized solution to do all that.
Nice. So, Patrick, we're going to round up with the last question, the vision on the future. What do you think the future will bring?
That's always a tricky question, because whatever I'm going to say, within a couple of years...
I see you getting a little bit nervous or excited.
Yeah, you have to understand, by formation and education, I'm an historian. And those guys are used to look back in time. Now you ask me to look in the future. Well, I really think that the platformization and the consolidation, and again, SASE is certainly a good example of that consolidation, needs much more adoption in organizations. And I'm pretty sure with all the data breaches and all the hacks we see on a daily level, on a daily rate in the news, organizations will have to move to that consolidated approach. Also because of legislation. Legislation like NIS2 is that stringent and really makes organizations think about how to increase their maturity levels. And there are no 10 different ways to do it. So that platformization is really something that I think in the future will have more and more adoption. Of course, the complexity of the bad guys using AI, automation, and so on will increase. So the reaction of the cybersecurity market will be also to come up with new solutions. So without the need of a crystal ball, we can be sure that the security stack and the solution stack will grow even bigger, because you will need new solutions to counter the new ways of attacks. And on the other hand, you still have that IT gap. So there is a big tension in that complexity of security and the people. So it will only grow. So I think that's an assumption I can make about the future, which is rather safe, that I can expect it go that way.
Okay. Thank you, Patrick. It was a really nice conversation. And to our public, thank you for listening again. And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.